pictures are next to it. Having a ceremony. This is what they're doing. It's, our doors face east to the rising sun. The girls, at the first break of dawn, the last song is being sung at their ceremony, and we call it pulling the sun. Of course, they're not pulling the sun, but they're thanking God who created us all. Thank you for giving us life. After they complete this ceremony, they will bless us. The Paul, one of our cousins' daughter, at a powwow in California, the other girls kind of never seen a dress or Apache stuff in California. Well, now they have. There's a tia over here. A lot of things they do. Us doing some other stuff. I thought there would be other slides. This in Piedras Negras in Mexico. Let me stop here pretty soon. Okay. Let me tell you how I started. When I was in 8th grade, up until that time I think we could be. Ask somebody, you know, and we'd ask them, and I don't know, you'd ask somebody else. They always wonder. Well, I wanted to know. I kept asking, well, why aren't you telling me? They wouldn't even tell me that. My mom wouldn't tell me, Dad. So walking by my grandmother's house, she probably heard me saying these why questions all the time. She lived halfway between the school and where we live. So she's out there watering her plants. She said, go home and get your mom and bring your camera. Okay. So I did, and I get home and asked Mom, Grandma launches over there with the camera. Well, of course, Mom says, what did you do? And something, and oh, one from here. I don't know what I find it. Anyway, hopefully I'll find the slide that I want, but it's for stock. Okay, well, let's see it there. We get to grandmother's house. She's had a 1-bedroom house, very small living room. Everybody's married and gone by then. She lived by herself. And we walked, my mom had me open the door, and she said, if you've done something and you've not told me, you will pay double. So this is your last chance. Oh man, I don't know. I used to eat lunch here every day because, you know, grandma's cooking. The cafeteria could not match that. So anyway, so I opened the door. I need to stand up. And she wore a dress like this, except it was blue. It was all blue. She said, bring your camera? Yeah. Well, take the picture. So I took the picture. Well, thank you. I took two-piece dress. And grandma wearing a two-piece dress. To me, it was no big shocker. But to my mom, she had never seen her wear something like that. She's in an Apache camp dress. Her mom, my mom's grandma had shown her how to make it all the way down to San Juan, Texas. South Texas, by the wrong street. Well, I guess I could have showed you this dress here, but I'll find my grandmother's picture. But okay. Anyhow, her mom showed her. Her mom had run all her brothers and sisters out. My grandma had 13 brothers and sisters. Everybody had to leave, including her father. Nobody needs to come back until dark. So everybody left. And once they were all gone, my great-grandmother took a box she always kept locked, unlocked it, opened it, and puts this dress on. Like this. Showed my grandmother, she was only about 11 years old. This is 1900, 1901. How to make it, how to use it, how important was she never forget it. When she was all done, just like most 11 years old, you got it? Of course I got it, you know. And she says, look, she walked out of the house and burned the dress. When that dress was all burnt, she turned back to my grandmother and said, promise me that you'll never tell your brothers or your sisters, not even your father, that you ever seen a dress like that. Promise me. My grandma said, what the heck's going on? Okay. She said, sit down and I'll tell you why. And this is the story she told her. In 1873, my great-grandmother was a 7-year-old girl. They lived in a place called El Remolino, which is across the border into Mexico. From Del Rio Eagle Pass here, about 25 miles into Mexico. It's along the river, of course. Kickapoo lived about a mile down the stream from us. Men would have to go hunt for food when food supplies were low, so they had all gone together. Well, they would be gone between a couple of days and sometimes up to a week. Well, before they came back, soldiers had scouted it out, found the men aren't gone. Let's go get them. So General Sheridan ordered Colonel McKenzie from Fort Clark take soldiers from there and Fort Duncan and Eagle Pass across the border and leave nothing but ashes. Kill them all. So soldiers do what soldiers are ordered to do. I know that. They gathered 440 soldiers, went to the border right just north of Kemal, and as soon as it got dark on May 17th, 1873, they crossed into Mexico. They rode all night long. He had to let some pack animals behind because they weren't keeping up. They had to get there at sunup. Well, at sunup, I start when I talk to kids at schools, I speak in their language, my great-grandmother's language. Greetings, great-grandmother. What do you see? The soldiers, just as the sun is coming up, started shooting, running their horses in the water, starting fires. Women started screaming, and in her mind, it was the day of the screams. That's how she always remembered. So she picks up a 1.5-year-old baby brother, finds a hole along the river, and jumps in it and covers over the bush. And there they hid as the village gets burned to the ground. She saw soldiers throwing babies and women in the fires that they had started, and this continued for hours. Well, before the soldiers had left, her little brother starts to cry. She knows what's going to happen. And sure enough, she sees the boots of a soldier standing outside the bush and gives them the command to come out. They're not going to come out. Little baby brother keeps crying, and she says, "Come out!" And they're not going to come out. So he takes his saber and he stabs into the bush, and he caught her little brother. He starts screaming and squirming around, so he does it again until he killed her. The soldier turns and walks away. But he only takes like 8 steps and stops and comes back, and she braces herself again. And he probes the bush 2 more times, just to check, I suppose. And he caught her in the shoulder and the top of her hand, but she stayed quiet. The soldier looks, turns and walks away. And eventually they got on their horses and left. They took 29 women and children, tied them on the horses as they left. My grandmother that day turns to us and says, "What's that make you feel like?" That's her mom's stories again. My mom tried talking, she couldn't. She had never heard in her life anything close to this. My grandmother would not take no response as an answer. So she turns to me. And you know, especially when you're young, you've had somebody right in your face. It almost feels like you're naked. Like you're so close, and that's my grandmother. And said in her calm voice, "You need to tell me what you feel like." All I could think of is angry. Why would soldiers kill a baby? And right away she said, "No, you respect the soldiers. But who will remember your great-grandma? A 7-year-old girl. If she'd have made one sound, you wouldn't be sitting here today. Never forget that. I've never forgotten it. To this day." She said, anger is weakness. I don't tell you stories to make you weak. I tell you stories to make you strong. Never forget your great-grandma and what she had done, not just once, but in her entire life, just so you could be sitting here today. I've never forgotten. My great-grandmother's brother, who was 10 years old, had also hidden in the bushes, and they found each other after the soldiers had left. They walked from there all the way to San Juan, where they had more family, down there by Harlingen. That's 325 miles. 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. They get down there, and they're down there for a week when their father shows up. Juan Castro. Juan Castro was a Texas Ranger. He's a captain with the Texas Rangers. So what the hell happened? Why are you killing my family? Between him and his father, Cuelgas, had signed 4 peace treaties here in Texas, starting with the Spaniards all the way to the U.S. government. Why are you killing my family? What do you think would happen today if somebody started killing police officers' families. Well, hell, call us, let's go. We'll find these clowns. But can you name one person who stood up for our family? None. I've never forgotten that. I have a Texas Ranger on my back, upside down. I wore it right there to Waco, to the Texas Ranger Museum. Not the museum, but to Fort Richardson, where they were. And they asked me to turn it around, and I told them, no, I will not. I said, I'm a retired police officer. I have a lot of respect for police officers. I said, I have it upside down for a reason. Because people ask me, why do you have it? And I'll tell you why. And that's just one reason, but there's others. Their father shows up, and he sees two of his children. Of course, he's elated that there are two that are not dead. And so he holds them. They're so tight, her mom told her, thought it was going to kill them. They couldn't hardly breathe anymore. So he finally released them, and he thought for a long time. And he finally tells them, promise me that you will never get at me. You're an Apache. They're coming to kill you. Promise me. And they're kids. Okay. They live their lives that way. And finally he passes on. Well, my great-grandmother has 13 children. And she starts getting up in her years. What's going to happen to the stories? What's going to happen to her father's memories? So she picks one. My grandma. She wasn't the oldest or the youngest. She was in her. But I could tell you from going to family reunions and being at my grandmother's house so much that she was the matriarch. Because if anybody was going to do something that involved the whole family, they would call her. Is it okay if we have our family reunion such as park? My grandmother would check. Yeah, it's okay. So my great-grandmother told her all these stories and made her promise never to tell nobody until she had died. My great-grandmother died finally. And my grandmother kept that secret for 62 years. And she told my mom and I. In 1984, I was a policeman, and I had my own children. We were at a family reunion. I went and sat next to my grandmother. We had eaten already. And my mom and my other aunt were there, and kids were out there playing softball. So I asked my grandma, when there was a pause, could I call everybody over so she could tell them, these are important stories. She was getting up there in her years. She looked right at me and she says, no, you tell them. I'm thinking, wow, Grandma, they'll listen to you, but I'm not going to tell her that. And so she said, look at the guys out there, they're playing soccer. Yeah, go there for a while. You come back and tell me who the leader is. All right. He turns to my mom and my aunt talking about something else. So I went over there. They were finally all done. They were going to play volleyball. So I came back and sat next to my grandma again. And she finally turns to me and she says, did you find the leader? I said, yeah, my cousin. He's only about 21. He's direct the volleyball. He's picking the teams on it. He's not the leader. I miss, and he goes, pay attention to what happens before they start to play. And they were right there close. He's got everything set up. Teams picked, boundaries, everything. And he turns to a younger female cousin. She could have been 15 years old. And all he asked her was, is that okay? And she said nothing. She looked around. She said, no, that one's got to be on that side, that one over there. And one swooped, the other one didn't want to be. He was bigger, he pushed him and held him. And everybody turns to her. And all she said was, okay. My grandma said, she's the leader. She said, when you were 12, they would ask you, you're the leader. They'll listen to you. I've always felt that before I talk, I need to get educated. I need to know what I'm talking about. I just can't start talking and hopefully everybody understands. The first time we went to Fort Clark, this was the first time we went to Fort Clark, about 18 years ago. Somebody came and took our pictures, like, picture I had. Well, we set these teepees up, and in there we have a lot of pictures and books and stuff like that, the information we've gotten. And I learned in college, when you argue with somebody, never argue with your facts. Never. Use their facts. They won't argue back. No, that's the truth. Wait, where'd you get your information? Hey, you made it up. But theirs, that's the truth. So we went to Fort Clark with Fort Clark's information. Our story's in there. They're not going to be able to argue with it. They wrote it. They wrote their books. They wrote the newspaper articles. They did all the combinations. They did all that. I picked it all up and brought it. Right before we started, the first day, we were kind of nervous and we had never done this before. So, 84 soldiers come up. One big fella and 3 other guys behind him. I thought, oh, they're gonna say hi. Everybody's been pretty nice. And big tall fella, he comes up. I put my hand out, he ended up here. With his Texas drawl, he's got his soldier hat right on my forehead, looking down at me, he says, "You feel a little bit outnumbered, do you?" I look around, I go, "No, it's about the right odds." About 100 of them. And so his buddy laughed. He says, "Shut up. We honor soldiers here." And I told him, "This has been a fort since 1852. What was it in 1851? It's Apache land, and you're welcome on our land. And we come here to learn from you. And I hope you learn one thing from me. I'm not leaving." Whoop, you sold up? I go, "Oh man, this is going to be a hell of a fight." But a school bus is passing behind me. I didn't see it. And the kids were yelling something about us and the TV or something. And so he just stomped away. Whew, that was close. And so during the day, they bring classes, important classes. All day long, it's about 1,000 students. So we stayed pretty busy. But I would see his shadow here on the side of the teepee. Listen, what am I saying? History. I'm just telling the children about, where's your history? You think you're going to learn your history in school? I've been all the way to the University of Texas and never learned my history. It's history? Where do you fit in all this history? You know where it is? It's in your houses. Ask your grandparents to tell you about their grandparents. That's how you got here. The little kids are like little sponges. They ask their parents. And so I get parents come up to me, "Hey, you gave my kid homework?" "Yeah, well, what? We're talking about it." And so they tell me. Yeah. So at the end of the day, my wife says, "That guy's back. He's by himself. He's about from here to the door." We're putting things away inside for the next day so they don't get rained on or anything. Okay, let's finish this. So I walk up to him, I get about this close. He's got his head down like this. So I'm real careful when I get close. I'm expecting anything. And he lifts his head up. And he's all teared up and crying. I didn't expect this. He can't even talk. He finally composes himself and he says, "This is as close as I could get. But an apology now will be hollow. I don't know what to say." Well, that's pretty damn good there, you know. Let's shake on a straight he took for you to walk up and say what you just did. He shook my hand. He was a retired University of Texas history professor of Texas history. He said, "What have I been teaching for 31 years? I said, "Well, you're not dead. Go back and tell them what you learned today." He said, "The first 30 minutes he listened to me, he learned more than in 31 years of being a PhD. It never crossed his mind, what would an Apache think of all this history? What would a Comanche, what would any Indian think? Ask them." They don't even do that. Well, I was at San Antonio, the mission, San Jose there, the history center that they have there, and I bought a video, hinted at on a phone that they show there, the mission history. And we were exploring, we were going to go somewhere else, but they announced, "Hey, they're going to show the video." Well, let's go in. About twice as big as this room. They show the video. I stay all the way till they turn the lights on. All the credits. And as I'm exiting the room, a fellow's there bragging to somebody else. See, everybody loves the movie. They love it. Oh, yeah. Hey, so he asked me, "What'd you think of the video?" I said, "Well, it's a step forward." I could have slapped him and got a better response. You realize how much money we spent? how much research we did, we wanted to get this right, and on and on. I said, can you name one Apache you talked to? I didn't see any. Not on your credits. How about one Comanche? You speak about them. I know Comanches. Can you mention one that you talked to? How about any Indian from Texas? Can you mention one name? None. That's why I say it's better. It's better than what you had. You don't have to talk to me. I'm just one. You need to make that effort. How about I write your history and just ignore you, and you're standing in front of me? So a fellow, one of those 10-speed racer guys, had come up and he's listening intently. And he tells him, well, you ask you a question? He said, no, I'll let him talk. He said, I'm learning now, more now. And he goes, this is, I never thought of it that way. And he said, well, there's not too many marriages here at the mission in San Antonio. Was only, he was fighting for the number. And so he asked the secretary, how many, do you remember that number? He goes, I can't remember, it's pretty low. And he asked somebody, they called somebody, they didn't answer. So he finally told me, yeah, that's a pretty low number. Then I told him. He said, that's the number. I said, listen, you stood here for almost 2 minutes struggling to answer the question, and cross your mind to ask me. Not that I knew, maybe I wouldn't know. In this case, I did. That's why I say, when I go places, I make sure I research to them. I researched the Texas Rangers when I went and talked to them. The University of Texas, law school. Smart LA students came out, they're pretty smart. I give them that much. I mean, you don't go to law school because you're dumb. And they finally say, hey, what do you guys want to have, a casino and make money? I said, all right, well, let's go there. I said, who made that law? Did I make that law? You did that law. Now you got a problem with it? Do you see what you're thinking, reasoning? I said, listen, what does the first constitution of the state of Texas say in the first paragraph? And there are professors there with them. They're quiet. They couldn't answer. I said, I won't tell you. The building right here next to where the teepee was set up, that's the law library. Go pull it up yourselves. I'm not going to tell you. And it says there shall not be any Indians of Texas, and if there